Research is something which you do when you think you are not doing anything. A very good morning to you all, ladies and gentlemen, and also a very good afternoon and a very good evening to the other parts of the world. Today we have a lecture on a very important topic when we discuss something in the life of a researcher, when we discuss something in the life of the aspiring students as such, and it is on research writing with special focus to MLA 8 referencing style. And to deliver the lecture, we have invited Ms. Deepa Sehrawat, Madam, to brief you all about her. A gold medalist in MA English from Jaipur National University, Rajasthan, Ms. Deepa Sehrawat is an active researcher and a part-time poet from Meerut, Uttar Pradesh. Ms. Sehrawat is pursuing her PhD in English literature under the supervision of Dr. Geeta Yadav from Banasthali Vidyapith, Rajasthan. Ms. Sehrawat currently serves as an assistant professor of English at Jaipur National University, Rajasthan, in the School of Languages, Literature and Society. She has been appointed as a global ambassador by Black Avid Publishing House since 1st July 2020. She has reviewed research papers for LLIDS International Journal and has been a certified reviewer at Publon. Her poetry collection, titled Reminiscence, Musings of Love and Life, is all set for release this year. Her interests include drawing, reading, writing, and blogging. Recently, she has contributed a guest blog, Juggling in the New Normal, Surviving the Complexities of Online Teaching for Economic Policy Group. She has also co-authored a book, Whisper of Hearts, in 2019 and is a regular columnist at Crime Spark magazine for women. She contributes workshops and also writes blogs for EPRFA publication registered under MHRD. She is also involved in various kind of works associated with the self-dependency of women at Mishika Education Society and NGO located at Meerut. Her quest to understand and simplify the MLA referencing style on 8th edition in particular has in a way made her create YouTube videos for the benefit of student community. Her sessions on MLA 8th edition has become a handy reference for students and researchers alike. Her lucid and succinct presentation style, along with her eye for detail and simplicity of character, make her an impressive speaker and an excellent teacher. Ma'am, we are absolutely honored to host you, and AIFEST is indebted to you for having accepted our invitation. All thanks to you, and it's over to you now. And to my all dear participants, I have an information for you. We will not be having any kind of live question and answer session today. Ma'am, over to you.
Hello everyone, my name is Deepa Sehrawat and today we've gathered here for a lecture on MLA 8 referencing and how to format using MLA 8. So the first and the foremost thing is that why do we actually need MLA and how to format it. We all are doing researches. We in this stage are very familiar with the pattern of research. We are writing research papers, thesis and maybe just an article. So when you're writing an article or a paper or a thesis, we have lots of resources, lots of sources from where we refer that we need to include, or we are obliged to give due credit to that resource from where we have referred. So that is where the role of referencing comes. And as we are the students of languages, so we prefer the referencing style told to us by MLA, that is Modern Language Association. Now today this lecture will focus how to cite using MLA, be it your research paper or your thesis or any article that you're writing. So how to cite and format your paper, because formatting is also a very important aspect of anything, like whatever you're writing. You cannot just simply follow whatever you feel like. There is a particular pattern that you have to abide by, and using that you can refer. So in this lecture we're going to look for the referencing and the formatting style prescribed in MLA 8th edition. So here we begin with the lecture. Now MLA. What is MLA? MLA is Modern Language Association that regulates the formatting of the document, that is your research paper or your article or the thesis, and it has two ways of referencing. One is in-text citation, the other one is works cited list. That means inside your research paper, you have to give the shorthand form of the reference that you're referring to. That is the in-text citation, to which you have to mention in the back list, that is the works cited list, at the end of the document. Usually it is at the end of the document where the complete sources is formatted. Or let's discuss how do we format the paper. So before beginning the paper, just give this formatting and then you can start with writing your paper. Put 1 inch space on all the sides, like throughout the paper. It has to be double spaced with 12 point times New Roman font, and the first line of every paragraph has to be intended 1.5 inches. That's 1 tab space exactly. And on the right hand side corner, you have to give the header with page number after your name, followed by page number. The title has to be centered with no italics, and the endnotes need to be placed on a separate paper. You don't have to include the endnotes at the end of every page like it used to be prior in the earlier versions. In MLA 8, you have to put the endnotes on a separate page that has to be included before the works cited page. This is the basic format, and if we see, this is the sample. Here we have given the name of the researcher, followed by the research guide and the subject, and then the date. Date has to be in this particular format: first date, then month, and then the year. And on the topmost right corner, on the header, you have to give the name followed by the page number, and here in the middle you have to give the title of the MLA paper. And if you can see here, we have given a tab space, so this has to be in the beginning of every paragraph. Now this was the sample, like how your MLA 8 paper has to look. Now there are few things that you need to remember while preparing the first page in your research paper or in your thesis. It has no title, and double space everything. List your name, your instructor's name, the course, and the date in the upper left hand corner. Now then you have to center the title. Use standard caps, but do not underline, italics, quote marks, or bold typeface. That means just simply you have to write it without using any of these. Now at the right hand corner, like I saw you here, at the right hand corner you have to put your name followed by the page number. And if you are making the first page of your dissertation, then thesis vary in different universities, so you have to talk to your guide or your university that exactly what type of front page do you really need. So this is how the sample looks like. Now if we talk about in-text citation, that what exactly do we mean by in-text citation? So whatever sources you are using or you are referring within your research paper, you have to quote them. They might be either you are using a direct quote from any book or any article, so you have to inside that. If you are using a summary, then also you have to give due credit to that. Or if you are paraphrasing it also, then also you have to give the in-text citation followed by the works cited list at the end, because it is very important. In-text citation is basically a brief reference in your text which indicates that which source exactly you have consulted. So it gives the direct information about the research from where the researchers has taken reference or took knowledge from. They might be direct quotes, indirect quotes, or just the overview of any research paper or something. So you have to it should direct readers to entry in your works cited list, and the works cited list, the in-text citation gives a hint to the readers that okay, this particular work would be at the end of the works of the research paper in the works cited list, so that you can the researcher or the reader can go and check whether you've taken it from here or not, or exactly what that work looks like. In journal, in-text citation is what format do we use? It is the last name of the author followed by the page number, if there is any page number, and they are given in parentheses. Example: Wordsworth stated that romantic poetry was marked by a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. We all have heard that. Page 263. So this is the page number 263, and from where we have took it now, the proper work and the proper reference to this particular sentence would be in a works cited list. Now we can also write it: romantic poetry is characterized by the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. And from where this particular thing is coming, from where particular line is coming, it is said by Wordsworth on 263 page. Now when you're going to refer to the works cited page, you will find exactly what the complete source is. And why we have used Wordsworth and followed by the page number? Because here in this particular sentence we have not mentioned who the author is, who has talked about this, whereas in the first line we have initially told the readers that Wordsworth has stated, so the readers know that it has been said by Wordsworth, so they'll understand that it's okay, it is said by Wordsworth and it is written on this particular page. But when you are not giving the name of the writer in the beginning or within your information, then you have to do it that way. Wordsworth extensively explored the role of emotion in the creative process. Now, the same sentence. Here, he has not taken direct quote from the work, but the idea. So, he has given, the researcher has given the page number and Wordsworth, because it is given by Wordsworth. So, this is what in-text citation looks like. Now, if we talk about the works cited list page, then it is the listed sources that we have used in a paper or thesis, which comes at the end of the paper or the thesis. This list is arranged in alphabetical order with left indentation, usually in hanging indentation. I'll tell you how to indent it in the hanging indentation. This list identifies the sources that we have borrowed for our research or we have referred somewhere, which we have also mentioned in the in-text cited list used within our document. So, we just saw the example of Wordsworth's spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings in the previous slide, which would be cited as Wordsworth, that is the last name of William Wordsworth, comma, William, period. Then the name of the book is Lyrical Ballads, so we have italicized it. Then again period, Oxford, UP, this is the publisher which has published it. Then comma, then the year of publication, then again comma, then PP, period, and the page number, period. This is the format how we create the works cited list. There are lots of resources, lots of things that we use nowadays. For example, movies, web series, books, journals, newspapers, write an article on the internet or a blog, or you can also refer to any books or any book by an organization, or even personal interviews, the songs, the lots, Wikipedias, dictionaries, and a lot of things that we actually use nowadays. So we need to acknowledge each one of them in the research that we are doing. Everyone has a specific pattern of writing. So in the coming slides, we are going to see how we are going to properly cite them. Be in your text, that is the index citation, or be it at the end of the work or in the works title list, because every resource that we refer to has a very important part to acknowledge. Otherwise it will come under the category of plagiarism. You are taking something without acknowledging the person, without giving due credit to the person who has actually wrote it. So now we are done with the works title list page. Now there are few tips that we need to remember while writing the works title list. These are: it has to be works cited and centered, this particular term, and it is appeared, the list of works cited appears on a separate page at the end of the research. It is titled, centered, with no quotation marks and no underline in this particular format. Now this list is arranged alphabetically by the author's last name, or if there is no author, by the first word in the title of that work that you have referred. And when arranging the list, we have to ignore the NA at the beginning of the title. Now after each line, it is indented ½ inch or 5 spaces. This is called hanging indentation. And this list is also double spaced. Every entry gives us a specific information in a specific order, that is usually the author's name, then the title, then the publication information, and after the publication information, if we have pages, etc., like certain particular pages that we have used. So now if a book does not have the publisher or the date of the publication, then we can put whatever information that we have in the square brackets. And each citation in a works title list ends with a period. Now the citation must appear both in the in-text citation of your paper and in the works title list. It should not be like you have mentioned something in the in-text citation but you have not given the particular source in the works title list. That would show false information, that you have not used or given proper information. Now with a few exceptions, the punctuation for citation in the works title list is restricted to commas and periods, and it follows a particular format. Periods are used after the author, after the title of the source, and at the information of each container. Commas are used in the editor's name and other elements. Now we are going to see all these patterns in the coming slides. So these are the basic rules that you have to keep in mind while writing your works title list page. Now, the most important components that we need to remember while creating a works title list. These are followed in this vertical pattern. First, the name of the author, then title of the source, title of the container. From if it is a small source taken from a larger works, so title of the source will be smaller and the title of the container would be bigger. Like if you have taken a poem named XYZ from a book named collection of poetry by this person, so title of the container would be that book and title of the source would be that poem that you have taken. So, and the other contributors be the translator or the director or someone. Okay? Now version. It might be having a version or a volume or something, the number, the publisher, and the publication date and location. So we have to follow it in this particular pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This pattern, whichever information is available, we'll have to mention that following this particular pattern. So keep this in mind, this is important. Now, what are the optional elements? Date of original publication. If you don't have the date of original publication but you have the web URL, you can give that, or the date on which you accessed, you can give that. City of publication is not required. URLs, if they are available, good, you can give them. If not, then fine, you can omit them out. Date of access, It is optional, but it would be better if you give it if you don't have a original date of publication, because now in this age of technology, what happens is you might be referring to some article today, but when you're going to refer it tomorrow, you might find that the article no longer exists. So this creates ambiguity. So if you're going to write the date of access, so it is going to give authenticity to your article, that okay, fine, you existed on that particular date, but now it no longer is available, so it's fine. Now DOIS, it is the digital object identifier. If you don't have, don't give, but if you have to give it without using this term DOI, without using it. So now, how to name the author. This is very important because we people are usually very confused that how to write, if it's one author, it's two author, three, if there is no author, if there are lots of questions, a same author has written two works, or if we are using resources from the same work by the same author on different pages. So how to cite all of these? So there is a particular pattern. If it is one author, for example, Alan Jacobs is the name of the author, so we are going to write it Jacobs, comma, Alan, period. But if its name is Alan T. Jacobs, then we are going to write Jacobs, comma, Alan T, then period. That means the last name of the author followed by the first name for first author. But now when we are going to write two authors, take an example, the authors are Alan Jacobs and Ben Lerner. These both have written the work. So Jacobs, comma, Alan, the name of the first author, last name followed by first name. But remember, for the second author, we are not going to change this pattern. It has to remain the same. Ben Lerner is the author. Ben Lerner would remain the author in the in-text citation also. Sorry, in the works title list. Now, three or more authors. Now, if we have three or more authors, for example, Alan Jacobs, Ben Lerner, Joe Saunders, Jane Smith, if four of them have written some particular work, how are we going to write the names? Jacobs, comma, Alan, then again, comma, then ETAL dot. It is for the other elements. Now, if we talk about a book by any organization or an institute, then what we are going to write, we don't give any author's name. We give the name of that particular organization. For example, Canadian Health Information Management Association wrote is the name of an organization that gives some article or something. Then we are going to give this information and not who wrote it. Now, if there is no author, don't use the term anonymous. Begin it with the title. And if the title is, for example, 7 to 8 words or a particular sentence, so just cut short that article, abbreviate it, and then use it in parenthesis. Now, let's proceed to how to give or write the title of the source. We have to follow the rules of capitalization without giving so much preference to the title. You might come across a book that has titles completely in capitalized forms, but we have to follow the capitalization rules. And after the title, we have to put a period. Now, what do we need to capitalize? The first word, the nouns, the pronouns, verbs, adverbs, adjectives, and conjunctions. And we should not capitalize the articles, prepositions, coordinating conjunctions like and, but, for, not. These we don't have to capitalize. Now, for the larger works, that means the books, the websites, or the movies, we have to italics them. We have to put them in italics, like we saw in the example prior, the William Words example of lyrical ballads. So, in that particular way, we have to write it. Now, for the smaller works, we have to write in the quotation marks. Then, these are usually periodicals, journals, magazines, newspaper articles, television episodes, and the songs. For example, Beyonce's this particular song, Pretty Hurts. Now, Pretty Hurts, I've just bolded it to give an emphasis, but you don't have to make it, put it in bold. It has to be Beyonce, period. Then put the word in quotation marks, and the period has to be inside the quotation marks. Then the name of that particular work, or from where you took it. Then Park Entertainment, it is the one who actually published it or make it available. Then the year, and it is the URL actually from where the person actually visited it or viewed it. So this is the pattern how we title the sources. So here we have not italicized Pretty Hurts because it is the smaller part from Beyonce's particular album. Now, the title of the container. If we talk about the title of the container, it is necessary for all these smaller works. Like I give you the example of a poem that we have took from any collection of poetry. So that poem has to be in quotation marks, and the name of the collection of the poetry has to, that would be the title, that would have to be we have to italics that. Now, title has to be in italics, usually followed by a comma, and we have to put the period inside the quotation marks. So in this particular work, The Future of the Book, that is italics, we have referred to this work toward meta reading, which we have to put a quotation mark and the period at the end. It's written by Bazin Patrick, last name followed by first name, period, and edited by, after the name of the container, we are going to write the name of the contributor, edited by Geoffrey Nunberg, period. Then the publication without the publication information, then information of the city of the publication, then the year when it was published, and the page number from where we have referred to the source. So this is how we prepare the list accordingly. First, we begin with the author, then title, then the coming to contributors, now editors, translators, etc. These are the contributors that usually come after the title, and these are usually followed by a comma. Now, for example, in this particular work, the order of books, readers, authors and libraries in Europe between the 14th and 18th centuries, written by Cited. Okay? So after this, the contributor is the translator, translated by Lydia G. Cocaine, comma, this is what I was talking about, that the name of the contributor has to be followed by a comma mark. Then the name of the publisher, again comma, year of publication, full stop, that is period. Now, coming to version. So what do we exactly mean by version? If a source is listed as an addition or a version of a particular work, that means its version or it's the earlier version has been already published. So we have to include the version that we are referring. For example, a work has 12th version, then 13th version, 14th version. So we have to mention clearly which version are we referring to. We have to include it in our citation, and if that is by multiple editions, numbered editions, for example, 3rd edition becomes 3rd edition, and other types of editions. For updated edition, we write updated ed, period. It also has to end with a period and with a comma. Now the Bible, authorized King James Version, then Oxford University Press, and this. Now you might be thinking, why comma? When you are going to write here which version, like 3rd version, then period, and after the version you have to put the comma, and not after 3rd ed, comma. Now, the number. So if a source is part of a numbered sequence, like volume or something, a part of a series. If a particular series has 7 seasons and a number of episodes in every series, so that is a part of a number. So it is if a source is a part of a numbered sequence, such as a multiple volume or a journal or both volume and issue numbers, so these have to be listed in your citation. And especially journal articles or magazine articles, and even we have comic books which are published in series, and yeah, TV shows, of course. Now the third issue of, for example, if we are referring to a work, third issue of a particular work of 24th volume of a journal, so it becomes volume 24 number 3, and it has to end with a comma again. Now for the works title list, Velle Rene, A History of Modern Criticism, it is in italics, this particular name of the work, period, volume 5, comma, University Press, then the year of publication. Now publisher, how do we have to write the publisher? So publisher is the one who produces or distributes the work to the public, and there might be one publisher or many publishers. So if you are referring to many publishers in your work, then for example, one publisher, then slash, the other publisher, then slash, then the next publisher, and then end it with period. Now it has to end with a comma. Mandatory for works, it is usually mandatory for books, films and certain websites, and it is optional for newspapers, journals, etc., that who published it, and it is also optional if the website has the same name as the name of the work, or the index of or the title of the work. If you're talking about a series which has the same website like the name or the title of the series, then you can omit its website. So you don't have, and what is important is that now in this 8th version, you don't have to include the city of publication. It's generally the publisher followed by the year of publication, and that's it. And for the detailed example, look at this example. Charles Harris, so last name, comma, full name, then yes, period has to come after Charles, then Tene. In why is it in quotation marks? Because it is not the title exactly. Women in a paisley shirt behind. Now see, it is the title that we have referred, but it is the name of that particular work or the container from where we took it. Now Tenny Harris Archies, it might be the distributor or the producer who made it, and the publication house or Canny Museum of Art, Pittsburgh, Tenney. And now these are the publishers who have published various, so it is in this way. Now if we talk about the date of publication, how do we have to write it? So please remember, it is only this pattern, that is date followed by the month followed by the year, and not any other format. You cannot write it like August 15, 2020. No, that's wrong. You have to write it 15 August, period, and 2020. Now publication date is, you have to use the most relevant date that because the day on which it was accepted and then it was printed might be different. There might be, so you have to use the most relevant date that is available to you. And if there is no date, there is no any compulsion that you have to mention it. You can omit it out. This is the example again. So writing works title list is not that hard how much we think. It's just that we people don't have the particular sources. We have particular sources, but we never take out our time and read them properly. Sometimes videos and lectures, because they are verbally, they give you information how much we need it. So sometimes lectures are useful for us to understand the complete topic. Otherwise, MLA has become more flexible and easy to understand. There are few basics that one needs to remember and follow, and you can, get a good command over MLA. Now, if we talk about the location, so what do we exactly mean by location? So it is basically the place from where you have accessed it. It might be, if it's online, then the URLs you have to take about, and if it's in print format, then the pages you have to give. For the location, you have to be as specific as possible so that the work can be located easily. If it is a single page, then P dot and the page number, and end it with again period. Now if there are multiple pages, then PP dot and the name of the pages, then again end it with the period. Now if you're using URL for online sources, then you have to give the source without writing HTTP or HTTPS. You have to begin it with www dot and then the address. And access dates, yes, you have to give the date of access. If you are not having the publication date, then access date becomes mandatory. And even if you have the publication date, you should give the access date, because articles, like I said earlier, that articles on web tend to get deleted or removed. So it should be specific that, oh, okay, on that particular date, an individual accessed this website and found that article, which might have been removed. So date of access gives more authenticity to your work. Now, access date is not mandatory if you're having a publication date. To look at an example, now and yes, it has to be written after giving the particular source, accessed 22 May 2019, in the format of the date that has been prescribed. Again, name of the author, name of the work, then the container, date of publication on which it was published, and this is the URL or its location, and date of access. Now the URL again has to end with the period. This is must end it with a period. Now let's begin with in-text citation and works cited style for books. We've just learned how to name the authors, how to write their names. So and I'm not going to repeat it to make it more boring. If you have a book with one author, so just last name of the author and followed by the page number. This has to be the in-text citation that you have to include within your document, and this has to be the pattern of the work in the works cited list. Last name of the author, then the first name, period, name of the book in italics, then period, publisher, date, year of publication, and the page number from where you accessed. And if you have two authors like Doris Marshall and Lucy Edric, the name of the work is The Crown of Columbus and published by Flamingo in 1992, because here they have not used the page number. So how to use it in the in-text citation? Doris, the last name, and Edric again the last name. Now you're not going to use the first name. In the in-text citation, you have to use both the last name of the authors. Now, if you have more than two authors, then the last name of the author, ETAL, period. This has to be the pattern. Now, if a single author has written many works, then what you have to do is you have to write the last name of the author followed by the abbreviated name of the work or the title, and then the page number. Now, let me explain you. Here I have given example of Leaving the Atoka Station by Ben Lerner, page number 347, and The Topeka School by Lerner, 347. So learner, comma, leaving the Choka station, name of the work, followed by the page number. In the same way, learner, the Topeka school, and the page number. That is how you're going to write it in text citation. Whereas for the work cited list, there is a different pattern that I'll be telling you at the end when I'll be explaining how to format it. Now, if you have authors with the same surname, then you have to use the abbreviation of the first name. For example, H. Smith or A. Smith, which gives the first letter of their names, so that you can easily identify which Smith are you talking about in text citation. Now, if there are multiple citations in a single line by the same author, then the last name of the author and the page numbers that you are talking about. Now, if there are multiple citations in a line by different authors, that means that the concept or the work is same but discussed by various authors. So the last name of the author followed by the page number, then semicolon, again last name of the author and the page number, and we have to put in parentheses. So this has to be the pattern of writing the in-text citation list. And yes, we have already seen how do we have to create the work cited list at the back. So we have to follow throughout. Now, if there is a book with no author, then how can you write it? For example, American Heritage Dictionary for Learners of English. This is the title, in italics, publisher, and the year of publication. So in text citation, we are only going to use the abbreviated form of this title. So instead of writing American Heritage Dictionary for Learners of English, we are just going to write American Heritage and the page number. But remember one thing, that we cannot use anonymous. Like, the author is not known, so we cannot write anonymous 49 page and then at the end, because the person who is referring, who wants to look that whether the citation or the source that you're mentioning is correct, would get confused. So if we look at books with various editions, we've already discussed it in the previous slide, that how do we have to write its work cited list. And just remember, if it is written by two authors, then in the in-text citation we have to use the last name of both the authors, their surnames followed by the page number. And whereas here the atmosphere, it is the name of the book, the atmosphere and introduction to meteorology, and we have italicized this, followed by a period. Then we have given the edition number, e.g. ending with period, then comma as we already talked about, and the name of the publisher, comma, year, and stopping it or ending it with period. So this is how we create the works cited list that we have already learned a bit in the previous slides. And in the same way, an edited book, if we talk about the edited book, which is its edition, where it is published, again that. And in the in-text citation, if see why we have not used page number here, because it is also not mentioned, because we have not used page number in the in-text citation. That means we are referring to the entire book, so we are not giving the page number at the back also. And the pattern remains the same. First author and the second author, these are the editors, so we have written editors after them, then the name of the book, which edition, and Sage, it is the name of the publication, comma, followed by the year, and then stopping it with a period. Now, as we already discussed that if an organization has a book, then we don't give the author's name. So again, we have used that particular example. Now, remember, when a work, any work that is associated with any organization, okay, when a work's author and publishers, that separates organization, then we have to give both names, and we have to start the entry with one, that is the author. And when an organization is both the author also and the publisher also, then we have to begin with the title of the work. For example, Canadian Health Information Management Association is the name of the work or the organization. It's not the name of the work, it's the name of the organization and of the author also. And Fundamentals of Health Information Management is the name of the work published by this in this year, and this is the page number that we refer to. But in our in-text citation, what we are going to give it? We have to give it Canadian Health Information Management Association and not the name of the book, because this particular work is belonging to this organization. So in the in-text citation, we are going to give the name of this organization followed by the page number. Please remember this. This is something important. So if we talk about book in translation, then the pattern is again the same. Author's last name, comma, first name, period, title of the book in italics, then period, name of other contributors, publisher, comma, publisher, then the comma, publication date, and then again period. So this is the pattern that we are following, and the same sequence that we've talked: author, title, then container, contributor, then version number, in that particular sequence that we discussed previously. So now if we talk about chapters published in anthologies with having an author's name, so name of the author, then in the quotation marks we have to give the name of the work ending with period, then name of the anthology in italics, comma, the name of the publication, then comma, year, and the page number that you're talking about. Now grant 149, or if you have used particular these works, it contains a particular these particular pages 148 to 150, so you're going to write brand 148 hyphen 150 and it like cover it in parentheses. So this is the pattern that we have to follow throughout the work cited list pattern and in the in-text citation also. Now work cited for chapters in anthologies that do not have any author with them, so we begin the work cited list with the name of the title of the work that you are referring to in quotation marks, then the name of the anthology in italics, and comma, name of the edited by, then comma, then 14th edition, again comma, publisher, comma, year, then the page number. And for the in-text citation, how you're going to write it? You have to use the quotation marks, then is abortion or immoral, question mark, the same title that you have to use in index citation followed by the page number that you're exactly talking about. And if this is something very large, you can abbreviate it. Now if you're referring to a book from a website, then again last name of the author and the page number if you have access to the page number. But yes, in the works cited list you have to give the address or the source from or the location from where you took it and the access date. So the works cited list becomes Citation, Ernest Thompson, period, The Trial of the St. Hill Stake, name of the book, Charles Scrimber's Sons, 1914, Project Gutenberg, and the address and the date of the access. This is the pattern that you have to follow for an ebook or if you're having a book from a website that has an access to books. Now if you are talking about a library ebook, then how are you going to use it? Name of the author, name of the book, then publisher and everything in that particular format. After that you have to give the address. As I talked about, we don't have to use HTTP or HTTPS, so this is the address, but it doesn't have to be in italics. and then after the period, date of access is mandatory, and it also has not to be in italics. Yes. For the in-text citation, you have to write the last name of the author followed by the page number which you consulted. Now, if we talk about the in-text citation and works cited list for encyclopedias and dictionaries. So, if you're talking about an encyclopedia or a dictionary that is online but without an author, so, and with an author, sorry. So, last name of the author followed by the first name, period, and this is the title of the term that you actually referred or the work that you referred. Then, without, see, always remember, if anything is inverted in inverted commas, then the period has to come within the inverted commas, not behind it. And then the name of the work, comma, publication date, then the publisher, the address, and the date of access. This has to be the format. And because we don't have any page number, so you can just write the last name of the author. But if it was also not available, then how do we have to write it? We should have started with this followed by the same pattern. So now if we look at an entry in either an encyclopedia or a dictionary which is online, or you can even also refer to Wikipedia also. The same pattern would be applicable to Wikipedia if you are consulting something from Wikipedia and it does not have any author. So the in works cited list or in text citation, basically you will put it in inverted commas, put it in quotation marks. Now the works cited list will begin with the work that you referred in quotation marks, then the source, comma, the publication date and the publisher, and then the address followed by access date. Nothing has to be underlined. And for the in-text citation, just put the word or the thing that you consulted in quotation marks. And now for encyclopedia or a dictionary that is in print with an author, you have to mention the name of the author and then again the term in quotation marks. Encyclopedia of this has to be italics. Encyclopedia of philosophy has to be italics. Then edited by this and the same pattern. And for in-text citation, what you have to use is the last name followed by the page number. But yes, if it is in print without an author, then again the name of the term, then the name of the dictionary or encyclopedia, which has to be italicized, edited by the person, then the name of the editor, then the publisher, year, and the page, because it's just one page, P.349. Now, and for the in-text citation, the term in quotation marks and the page number. So this is the journal format that we actually follow throughout the MLA. So now for the articles that do have authors, two authors, the same pattern. If we have page numbers also, then we are going to write the page numbers also. Now these are print articles because we have not given any document number. Otherwise we have to provide the DOI also. So it is a printed article. The pattern is same. You have to write the container, the title in quotation marks. Then if you have to give the name of the container in the italics. Now for an article in a journal from a library without a DOI, library database without a DOI. Now from where you accessed it, this is that particular, because it does not see articles, many articles, most of the articles they do have DOI, but if you don't have the proper DOI, so if you are accessing it online, you have the URL also. You can also give that. That also justifies and completely validates the source. So in such cases, when you do not have a DOI, in those cases you have to give this beginning from this till here, it is the URL, because we don't give it with HTTP or HTTPS, but we have to mention that. and the date of access is mandatory, so we have to give the date of access also. Always use our DOI number if one is available, otherwise we have to use a stable URL. See, this is the pattern. Now if we are referring to article in a journal from a library database with a DOI, like having multiple authors, so name of the authors in the pattern that we discussed. Now again, every single detail that I have been talking about now, DOI and then the name, accessed, this date of the, and when possible, and we have a DOI, so we should precede it by DOI instead of a URL. Now, article in a journal from the internet, if we are talking about an article in a journal from the internet having an author, so it's exactly the same here. We are just writing the name of the journal in italics, and this is the article that we are talking about, and the URL that we have, from where we accessed it. And now if we are talking about a magazine article from a library database, again the same pattern. Everything has to be in the same format that we've been discussing. Date of access we have to give, because it is always safer to give date of access, because these sometimes articles or documents get removed from the internet, so it shows that the time when the researcher or when you actually access the article, it was available then. And by now you might be observing that the pattern is constant. It is just the same for books, magazine articles. It's just the same. We have to remember the basic points that we discussed in the beginning, that we have to begin with the name of the author followed by the title for larger works. And if we are talking about a smaller work that we are taking from some other book, so we have to give that in inverted commas or quotation marks, and after that we have to give the name of the container, that has to be in italics, followed by the other details, for example the publisher, the contributor, the location, and at the end we use the location, that is the DOI number. So this is the common pattern that we are using throughout. Now, and an article in print having an author, so this is again the format. But yes, if we don't have an author, or if we don't have if we don't have a page number, we just mention the last name of the author. If we don't have the author's name, then we mention the title in the italics, usually from Wikipedias or dictionaries that are not without an author. Now, newspaper article from a library database, this has to be the pattern that we have discussed. And if it's online, we have to give the URL, a stable URL. Newspaper article from the internet, there is an example that for the newspaper article in print. Yes, newspaper and article that are printed, they have a page number on the above or at the below of the newspaper page. So we also mention the page number of the newspaper if we are talking about the printed newspaper article. Now, and if it's not without any author, then we have to again follow the same pattern. The title from the title of the source in inverted commas, followed by the name of the newspaper, then the date on which it was published, followed by the page number. Wherein for the in-text citation, we have to use it in again quotation marks, and then we have to give the page number also. Now, for in-text citation and works cited styles for websites. Now, works cited for this particular article in depressed rural cancerous worries mount over medicated quacks. This is the article name, so we have put it in quotation marks, and please remember that the period has to come within the quotation marks, followed by the name of the magazine or the website NPR, and it has to be italicized, on which date it was published. It has to be in particular format, then the address, period, date of access. Now, since it does not have a page number, so for the in-text citation, we're just going to give the last name of the author. Now, continuing the same, so work cycle list of an article. Now, if we have the name of the person or the author, then we have to write the name. Then again, in the quotation marks, we have to write the name of the article. And just remember, we have to put the period within the quotation marks and not outside. Then followed by the name of the website or from where it was published in italics. Then the date of publication, followed by the URL. Remember, because we are not using HTTP or HTTPS, so we are using www. Then ending it with period, we have to give the name of the date on which we accessed it. Now, why we are doing it? Because it does not have any part number or any page number. But if it does have any page number or any part number, then we have to mention it. Now, for example, again, David Suzuki Foundation, by David Suzuki Foundation, we referred an article named Pesticides and Your Health, a Family Physician's Perspective. So the name of this article would be in inverted commas in quotation marks, followed by the name of the organization in italics, then the date of publication, followed by the location of that particular article on the web, then the date of the access. Because we do not have any page number, so yes, the last name would do for the in-text citation. The same we have to do if we do not have the author. So we begin, as we have already discussed, we have to begin with the title. So yes, we started with the title, followed by the name of the container in which that article was founded, and the date of publication and everything. And we access, our date of access is also mentioned here. But because it is a bit long, so how are we going to write it? In inverted commas, we are going to use the shortened form for main, and it will do. If there is no personal author, start the citation with the title of the document and website, and if it's very long, abbreviate it. It's shortened it. That will do. Now, for the Wikipedia articles, because nowadays a lot of us are using and referring Wikipedia, so we have to give credit to them also. If there is no particular author that we know, so we have to give the title in the quotation marks, followed by Wikipedia in italics, then the date on which it was published, then the address and the access date. Whereas for the in-text citation, we are going to put the word hypnosis in italic, in quotation marks. Now, the same we do for the blog posts. We just write the last name because we have the name. Date of access, I've been telling you, it's very important. Now, if we continue to audio visual materials like songs or the movies, so how are we going to recite them? Because nowadays we have a lot of movies and web series that we are working or writing research papers on. There are lots of studies coming on these things also, so we have to give due credit to videos, audios, everything. Now, how to cite a movie, a film, how to cite it. Now, the name of the movie in italics, directed by this doesn't have to be in italics, performance by, and then 20th Century Fox Home Entertainment, it is the name of the publisher. This still here doesn't have to be in italics. There might be some error with this. And for the in-text citation, we have to just write Grand Budapest, not complete because we've abbreviated it. And yes, just remember it, this is the time that you're exactly referring to. If you're referring a scene that you saw at 1 hour 18 minutes 29 seconds to 49 seconds, that you are going to mention it, maybe a dialogue or something. If you're writing about a film or a TV series without focusing on an individual, so contribution, begin with the title. But if you can also include information about the director and other key participants in the position of other contributors. For audio visual material which is based on time, you have to cite the relevant time or the range of times at what you are referring. You have to give the name, give the numbers of the hours, minutes, seconds as it is being shown to you on your screen or on the media player, separating the numbers with colons. Now, works cited for this particular, the same goes More Marshall, the director, because now we are focusing the director, so we mention name of the work, then publisher, like who distributed it. It does not have to be in italics, then the date. And for the in-text citation, only Moore, because we are talking about the complete work and not just a section of it. Now, if we talk about the streaming video, the same pattern, who actually made it available. For example, Greg's Ben made a video on YouTube available. The name of the video is this. So, name of the video has to be in quotation marks and YouTube has to be in italics. And on what date, then we have to give the address followed by the date on which you accessed it. And for the in-text citation, you have to give the last name followed by that exact time or that duration that you are actually mentioning. Now, if you're talking about a streaming video or films that are on demand, then the name of the movie, the one who published it, see, this does not have to, the name of the movie does not have to be in italics. Only BBC Worldwide has to be in italics, followed by the year. This does not have to be italics. Then films on demand, and then this is the address followed by the date on which you accessed it. Whereas for your in-text citation, you're going to put the title in italics, then followed by you have to put the title in quotation marks, followed by the time on which it was streamed, like the exact time which you are actually talking about. Now, for the same is for the sound recordings. Typically have name of the audio file and which MC records, who distributed them, and the year. And for the in-text citation, just tragically hip would do it. In the same way, song on a CD and photograph on the web also, and even for the podcast also. See, here we have used the time because we are referring to a particular segment. Now, talking about the other sources, what other sources might be? These can be the interviews that you conducted, or the brochures, or the emails, or the tweets, because nowadays we are also, referring to them. The same pattern, last name followed by the first name. For the personal interview, and this is the name of the interviewer who interviewed it and on what date. Last name. Now, for the brochures, name of the brochure, who actually, not everyone has a name. It's the name of that particular National Coalition for the Homeless published this. It is the main, accessing body. That's why it is in italics, and pamphlet followed by pamphlet. So for our particular in-text citation, not everyone, not in the quotation marks, although yes. Now for emails, how to write for the emails, how to write the works title list and the in-text citation for the emails. Again, last name followed by the first name. This is the person who is actually emailing. Subject, received by this, and the date of the access. So last name will do for the in-text citation. You just have to include the last name. In the same way, if we talk about the works title list for a tweet, then this is the name of or the address of that particular tweeter who made that tweet public, and this we have report of this the tweet in quotation marks. Twitter has to be in italics, then on which date it was made available, at what time, and followed by the address. And again, yes, you have to you have to write the name of the date accessed if possible. I think so everyone should write the access date because it gives more authenticity, whereas for the index citation you just have to write the name of the the Twitter name of that particular person. Yes. Now we'll just learn how to format and code the text that are short in length and that are long in length. So if we have a quotation, or if we are taking something from a work which is of 2 or 3 lines and below 4 lines, so we can put it in quotation marks. For example, Shelley thought poets, and it is a direct quote from the book taken from 794 page. So we are putting it in quotation marks because it's short. It's not of 3 or 4 lines. And punctuation marks such as periods, commas and semicolons, they should appear after the parenthetical reference. That means after this and not before this. Other punctuation such as question marks and exclamation marks, they have to be present within the quotation marks, like before the quotation marks ends. We have to include it before then. Now if we talk about the long quotations that are running for more than 3 or 4 lines, more than 4 lines in your paper, then we have to separate it from the text and we have to bring it to the new line, and then after bringing it to the new line we have to indent it half an inch from the left margin for a single paragraph. And we do not use the opening and the closing quotation marks. The quotation ends with a period, and then we use the in-text reference or in-text citation within the parenthesis, and after the parenthesis there is no full stop or a period, which we were using in the short quotations. Let me take you back there. Yes, if we look here, Shelley thought poets, the shorthand quotation mark is there, and after the quotation marks we are giving the in-text in the parenthesis, then followed by the period. Whereas for the long quotation we are not using this pattern. We are not using quotation marks. We are just writing the quotation. We are indenting it from the main text to half inch, and then we are giving the in-text citation without a period. The period has to be before the in-text citation. We have already discussed how to make the in-text citation, how to do the in-text citation, how to make the works cited list, and how to format. But now we're going to see the overview and how to do it practically. So this is a paper that I have just selected for my own purpose so that I can show you how to create and do the basics. So let's start. As I told you that it has to be indented half inches throughout the side, so we have to go to the page layout, then to the margins, and we have to choose 1 inch on all the sides. That is what we have. And then now go on home, Times New Roman 12, done. Okay, now we have to begin with, on the left side, right upper side corner, with the name of the person who was writing it. First name followed by the last name, then the name of the professor, then the subject, and then the date. The title of the paper has to be in the middle, as I told you, and it's not italics or bold or underline or anything, or either in quotation marks. We don't have to do anything. Now this is the pattern, so we have to indent it half inches. Press stamp, it will be done automatically. So that's how we do it. But yes, as we talked about that, on the upper right corner we have to mention the page number after the name of the person who has writing it. So how to do it? Go to insert, choose the page number, then top of the page select this third one, page number, third style, and here before the page number write your name. So it is done. Then close the header. Your page, your name would be automatically in that particular format. Now yes, see, if this is a quotation directly taken from a work, so we are going to put it, a line taken directly from a work, so we are going to put it in inverted commas, and in the parentheses we are going to give the in-text citation, and then we are going to end it with the period. So Tucker et al. Is the name, Tucker is the last name of the multiple authors that we will see in the works title list, and this is the page number. But yes, this is a quotation till here, and this is long because this is a 4 lines. That is actually a long quotation. So now we have a different pattern to format this. We are going to select it, then press the then press the right mouse and select paragraph. After going on the paragraph, you see a lot of options, and in the column indentation and in the haven use 0.5 and put it OK. So it is half indented. That is how you do it. You do not put it in inverted. You have not put it in quotation marks. Yes, we don't put the long quotations in quotation marks. We end it with a period, and then we give the in-text citation in parentheses. Whereas for the short quotations, we were using quotation marks, and after giving the in-text citation, we were using period. Whereas for this, we use the period before the in-text citation. So this is something major that you have to remember. And the pattern that we have been seeing, why we've used 150 here, because we have already used the name of the author. And if there might be an article from the Wikipedia that do not have proper option. For example, if this information is from Wikipedia, names indentation, so we are going to just put it in the inverted commas and then followed by period. That's it. Like just the, even if you're just taking the idea and not the exact lines, then also you have to give the due credit, so you can use it that way. So this is how we format the short quotations or the longer quotations. And yes, as we talked about that at the end, what do we have? We have the works title list in the center and without works cited list, without any underline or anything. So now let's see. This is not arranged in proper format by now. Now let me just tell you a few things. This work and this work is by the same author, so the formatting style is different. How we format it. This is Learner, Ben Lerner, Leaving the Tucker Station, Coffee House Press. This now, because it is written by the same author, so we just give 3 hyphens. For example, let me show you. In the name of the, in place of the author, what you do is hyphen, hyphen, space, hyphen, space, hyphen, space, hyphen. Yeah, remove the automatic. This is the format. And now we were talking about that we have to arrange it. How? We have to arrange it alphabetically. Select it, use A to Z. Okay, so now this has been arranged automatically. Whereas you have to remember that for these authors, it should not go. Now select this one, press the paragraph button. Then in special, go in the hanging. In the indentation option, you will have an option named special. You have to select hanging and then you have to choose it. Now it becomes like this. So when you're going to do it, it will be automatically set to this. Now that's how our works cited list looks like. I think I am clear with that. People might have understood how to create your works cited list, how to format it, and yes, remember one thing, it also has to be in double spacing, and there might be few people who do not even know how to double space it. Then Ctrl plus A, that means select all, Control plus A. Then in this option line spacing, do 2.0, select 2.0, it's double spacing. So now we are done with the formatting also. So now we are also done with the formatting, how to do it. Everything is covered till here. So these are just the basics that we need to keep in mind while formatting, be it within the text, that is the index citation, or while creating our works cited list. Because if you're going to miss any of these, your work is not at all going to be complete, because there are researchers, there are reviewers who reject your papers based on your referencing, because you've missed an important resource. You have given the resource in the index citation list, but you have not mentioned in the works cited list. So we don't have to do. We have to remember that it should be proper. So I think so I have made it very clear how you can do it. For any other assistance regarding this, we have online sources also. We have the books available in the print format. You can refer to these. And for any help, you can contact me. Thank you so much. I hope this session was in a way contributed something to you. Have a great day.